Hello and welcome back to the Chattercade podcast, where we discuss media in the form of topical-based discussions and or reviews. I'm your host, Dragon Thomas Hughes, and obviously I put in the YouTube community tab, I'd explain the extended delay after the last episode, because I don't remember the last episode it went out quite a while ago. I'd actually planned to pretty much do another episode the following week. I'm pretty certain the last time I did it, I explained why I didn't do any more before that, and that was the chest infection and the back problems. And then this time around, literally as soon as I got through that illness and pain, I got a throat infection basically, and that kind of screwed my voice up for a while. Not fully, like it screwed my voice up to the extent of I could record, but it's just been the case of starting my audio, which is why I'm very happy with my obviously FEW stuff, because I'm able to actually take that quick break. I'm able to stop the mic and just cough quickly. Whereas when I'm doing podcasts, I kind of can't, because if I had someone with me, then fair enough. But at the moment, it's fucking it's like trying to find gold out in the wild. That's how much difficult it is trying to get someone to actually do this, do an episode with me. Obviously, I'm kind of freed up some time with Alex since we've finished Gravity Falls. That is all finished. Episodes are just being edited and are going out over the course of the next couple of weeks, and that is that. And we have literally one more recording, review-wise, to do, and then it's just gaming. So I'm hoping that I could then free him up to maybe jump on for a podcast or two every now and again. But obviously, in terms of Connor, it's just our time is just fucking difficult. It wouldn't be too bad if I could move my setup out of this room into a different room, but can't at the moment, so it is what it is. But yeah, obviously I had the illness that kind of fucked me over, and at the point where I'm getting to like decent, I'm well now, which is I think around the point of just before the Quiet Place prequel came out. So I think it was maybe the weekend before I was to the point of, okay, I feel a bit more healthy now. I'm not coughing as frequent. Like now it's just once in a blue moon, so it's not as bad. But then obviously we sadly had to have our family dog put to sleep, and that kind of just fucked me over mentally for a while, because I've never been in that situation. Obviously, yes, family pets have died before. I've never been in a situation where it's been forced from our perspective, so that kind of just fucked me over. So obviously my day where I usually do my recording for that, I literally sat with him all day until the moment where it had to happen. And then the week, it's been about 2-3 weeks now, so those couple of weeks afterwards, it kind of just fucked me over. And every time I tried to sit down by myself to record a review, it just wasn't happening. I was able to do the ones with Alex because I've got him there. I've got someone next to me, emotional crutch I like to refer to him as. But when I'm doing it by myself, I don't have that. I'm really regretting this fan being on, because it's completely blowing my hair into my face constantly. But it is a very warm day, so. But yeah, so obviously all that happened, and I just never got the time or in the right mindset to do an episode. But now I have, and I might start getting to the process of doing 2 back to back. So then at least then I've got the cushion of, if I can't get an episode out recorded the following week, I've still got this backup episode to go out that week. So I'm looking at doing that. I'm going to see if I can get away with doing that today. This is my test day to try that. But yeah, so either way, that's everything happened. That kind of screwed up all my scheduling. Thankfully, I kind of got a lot of my stuff that I need to get done at the way. And as I say, the FEW stuff's pretty easy, because I just have to sit there and just every now and again talk. But now I'm getting to the point of talking a bit more on them, because I've got that mindset back of being able to record, and I'm not kind of just depressed as fuck. But yeah, so either way, today it's a debate which one I was going to do today. I think I might do this one, and next week I'll do a review. This week it's more of just thoughts and feelings. Next week will be an actual proper review. To that, I might stick out a score at the end of both of these, so I'm going to do 2 things to talk about. I'm debating it, but what we'll do with reviews now, I'm having to go back through old episodes to try and remember what I gave certain things, and at least then if I go, oh yeah, I preferred that to that, I can actually go a higher rating. But what I'm going to do going forward now is I'm going to pretty much do it to the point. So obviously, for example, if I've got 8, 8.5, and 9, so those are my 3 points I can give it to, as an example there, rather than trying to go specifically to like 8.3, 8.4, blah blah blah. It's just going to be easier for me to just go to the points, so then it's a lot less me trying to remember if I preferred that to that. I'm at the moment I'm going to go back to, because I think I used to do that a while ago, but then I switched it to doing specific points. But I feel like it's not just easier on me, it's pretty easier when I get actual people on. I know Alex struggled with the gravity force stuff, trying to get to the actual specific points I wanted. So I'm thinking of going, at the moment it's looking like I'm going back to that. If I ever change it back, then I change it back. It's just kind of what it is at the moment. But yeah, so today I'm talking about 2 shows that recently, well, not just recently finished, but I recently finished myself watching, and that is Kaiju number 8 and Go Go Loser Rangers. Obviously 2 of the recent manga adaptations that are out there. One heavily popular, one I'm not too sure popularity on it. I know they've set up a second series. Don't know if it's been confirmed for a second series. I'm pretty certain it may have, but they've at least announced the idea of a second series. I don't know if it's actually been confirmed or not. But yeah, so I'll start with the latter, so Go Go Loser Rangers. Obviously that is a kind of mocking the idea of like Power Rangers. Like, it's what if it was that but darker, and you focus more on the villain rather than the heroes. And I kind of stumbled across it randomly. Like, I never actually intended to sit down and watch it. I remember seeing the image on Disney Plus, because obviously in the UK it's on Disney Plus, and some of the countries on Hulu and mixture of that and Disney Plus. And I just remember seeing the image, didn't really look into it. I just saw the picture, was like, oh, must be like a new anime on here. Didn't bother watching it. And I remember the one, I think like Sunday, I remember just looking online something, and I remember reading about it, and I was like, oh, okay, I recognise that picture. So obviously I jumped straight on it, watched it, and I think at that point there was, I think at least 2 episodes out. At that time it was sub, so I've actually only watched it in sub. I've got to still watch it in dub, which I believe is now been fully released, because I think Alex told me they were one-off, and that was a few days ago. So I believe this past weekend the last episode should have gone out, so I could actually sit down and re-watch the entire show again and actually have it in English. But obviously at the time I was stuck with sub. I went with it because I didn't know if they were going to do a dub, because I being on Disney, see, if it was Crunchyroll, there's probably a chance. But being on Disney Plus, I didn't know if that was going to be sorry, if that was going to be a thing or not, because I don't know how. I've never really seen animes released on Disney Plus. I think definitely have been, but I've never seen them myself, or never jumped on them to watch myself. So I don't know how they work with sub and dub. So, but I was like, fuck it, I'll watch it. Give me something to watch on a Sunday morning. I think it was like 9 o'clock Sunday morning, so something to watch. And I say it was a fun show. It was a really enjoyable show. It's interesting seeing from the perspective of a villain trying to infiltrate the good guys. In this case, good guys. If you watch the show, you'll understand. I won't go into too much spoiler depth on this. I'll say good guys. No one's a good guy, basically. But obviously, it's interesting seeing someone infiltrating this ranks, because obviously the sort of what this show would portray as the villains can basically shapeshift at times, as long as they have knowledge of what they're trying to do. And the main character shapeshifts into someone who is allowing him to infiltrate. And like the first half of the series is just about him basically just explaining who he is, explaining these goals and stuff, and slowly building up to the point of infiltration. And the second half is about him trying to become a loser, basically. He's trying to become a ranger. I think I've referred to as dragon keepers in this. So obviously he's trying to become a dragon keeper, and it's about him doing the exams, meeting new people, and then obviously the back end of it is more about the arc of basically this big villain basically has got into this building where obviously they're doing all the exams and stuff, and it's about them basically like a massive battle. Basically, it's a battle arc, while the 2 teams in the exams are battling each other. Obviously, these villains come out of nowhere, so they have to battle these villains. The main characters have to get involved, despite obviously his technically allegiance to these villains. So it's a lot of battling, a lot of fun, and then, as I say, we get heavily focused, especially in the last act. Most of the first arc, your main like Dragon Keeper you're sort of looking at is your red Dragon Keeper, but the last arc is fully focused on the blue Keeper, like who's a former like ex like criminal basically. That he's brought in to. There's a whole like episode with his backstory showing him being brought into basically the Dragon Keepers and showing him building the rank into the point he's the blue Keeper, and it's quite cool to see how their weapons work, because they have something called divine artifacts, I believe they're called, and they're essentially, if you think of if you look back at say Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, think of like their weapons they have there, the Terra Bow, the axe, obviously the swords, the blast. Basically that's their end of the big battle weapon, and they have like this weird like kind of like USBs, but they're not USBs. But basically, they plug into them to give it full power, and obviously you get to see them early on, but then you get like to see like the blue ones in that final arc where he can use like water abilities, like he can send like weird like explosions of fish and stuff like that. It's crazy, and it definitely captures the Power Rangers-esque tone, obviously with the crazy ass weapons. The only thing obviously this is missing that isn't in that's in Power Rangers like Megazords. That's the only thing that this is ignoring. Its main focus on the heroes, and basically just them having like each having their own established weapon, and those weapons are enough to defeat the villains basically. Specifically, they're very deadly for the minions, of course, and they can cause a lot of problems for the big bosses. And so the thing with this, what I find interesting as well, is the fact that the show. I'll give you a big backstory. To be fair, it's not really spoiler, but obviously the show itself, it's meant to be like the villains invaded like years and years ago. I don't know what my nephew's up to downstairs. I'm hoping it's not picking up on the mic. The villains invaded years ago. They lost to the Dragon Keepers. They won, and then they've kind of been enslaved. The Dragon Keepers are supposedly slayed the big bosses, or at least sent them scurrying away. But the little minion ones that can keep regenerating, because once they die, they can just regenerate. That's all they are. They're essentially the putties from the first one. I say Foot Clan, but that's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They're basically the putties from the original Power Ranger series, and they can basically just keep coming back and back and back. And the Rangers capture them, lock them up in their own like fortress that's theirs, and every Sunday morning they bring them out into an arena for people to watch, and they basically don't televise like a battle between the villains and the heroes, and they do that every practically Sunday, I think they say. And it's like, okay, so the heroes have enslaved the ones attempting to enslave them and forcing them to perform like dancing monkeys, and it's like, that is quite interesting. Like what if who you dubbed the heroes weren't fully heroes? Yes, they're protecting people, and obviously when it push comes to shove, they will attack the villains if they're attacking people. But what if they're villainous themselves? I mean, because technically speaking, they're holding these villains hostage and forcing them to do their bidding week after week after week after week, because they always have at least one of them transform into a second stage boss, essentially. So think of it, obviously there's the big bosses, which are essentially, as I feel, think Power Rangers. The big bosses are basically like the Ritas, the Zeds, but then you've also got your little further down the ranks monsters. So you basically your end of the episode, basically your main episode monsters, essentially. So trying to think of some of the old fucking villains from the OG sort of show. I remember like a frog monster, a pumpkin one. Oh, Jesus Christ. It's been a long time since I watched the OG show, but you get my drift. That it's meant to be like each episode main villain. And then you say you got your little your little minions that are basically invincible. I say invincible, but the divine artifacts can kill them. So if they get hit with that, that's it, game over for them. they can't respawn or anything. So normal weapons can respawn them, but it's just the divine ones that can fully end them if their entire body is eradicated, which is something that's shown very early on, and obviously it's something that's pointed out quite a bit within the final arc. And I say it's a fun show. There is a lot to it. When I first watched it, I enjoyed it, but over time, when I've sort of sat there thinking about it, I've enjoyed it a bit more. When thinking about it, I'm hoping on my rewatch I'm going to enjoy it a lot more. I said there's a lot to like about it. Each arc is decently paced. You've got your start of introducing everything. You've got your infiltration arc, and then you've got your big final exam, big battle to round out the show. And of course, then there's the setup at the end, the little teaser for a second series. And there's a lot to like about it. And so I'm hoping when I watch the dub, I'll get a lot more enjoyment out of it. And so I got a lot of enjoyment out of it in the first place. Well, I kind of waited with the dub. I didn't want to just jump straight in and rewatch it. I wanted to have them all there to watch at once rather than weekly. Because I've already gone through that weekly stage, so I know for a fact when it gets interesting, like when it gets like edgy, you see, I can't wait for this. Oh shit, end of the episode. I'd rather not be like that constantly. I'd rather be like, oh, I can just jump into the next one. But still, it was, I wanted to watch it. I didn't know if there was a dub, but it made sense to me just to sit down and watch the sub because, as I say, I like Power Rangers, so it's something that is up my alley. It's not going to be up at every Power Ranger fan's alley, but it's got enough of a resemblance at times to draw you in. And as I say, it is a really fun show that I would definitely recommend. I say it's on Disney Plus, so it's not as if obviously you have to sign up to Crunchyroll. If you've got Disney Plus, it's there. So I will give it a rating, I think. And I think I'm going to go with bang on a 9 for this one. Because I say it's good. I don't think I'll go any higher. Maybe if my rewatch, I'll go higher. If not, then a 9 I felt like is a reasonable place for it. Especially for a first series. You want enough there to draw you in. Especially if they do more series. You want enough there to draw you in to then sit through the next season after season after season, depending on how many they're going to adapt. I've kind of I think the manga's quite decent length at the moment, so it makes sense that there'll be quite a few seasons probably if they do well enough. Hopefully they do, and hopefully Disney don't just cancel it. I'd be very upset with that. So my second topic is Kaiju number 8, another recent anime, this time from Crunchyroll, and this one I fucking loved. There's so much I loved about it. The Attack on Titan vibes are definitely what drew me heavily into this. It's a show that I jumped on because I remember Alex sending me a trailer saying this is right up your alley. I watched and I was like, hell yeah, this is right up my alley. And I said over week after week, I just got drawn in. It's so good that I've actually brought the entire set of mangas. I've got like a massive pile of books, like yay big downstairs to sit through at some point. I've got everything but the one that was releasing in November, which obviously I'll get when that comes out. And as I say, it just drew me in heavily. There's so much to like about it. There's so much action. The animation's great. The comedy's really good. The Attack on Titan vibes are. I mean, most animes have a character that's linked to your main villains. Most sort of like conflict battle type ones. So like Jujutsu Kaisen, for example, there's something within the character that links them to the villains. So there's always a weapon for the humans to use. And in this case, as I say, the guy can turn into a kaiju. So the animation's good, the story's good, the action's good. Where it looks like it's going is going to be fucking good. There's just a lot to love about this show. And as I drew me in that much that I brought the books to sit through and try and read. The characters are good. The arcs are well done. So you got your opening arc, you got them joining your opening arc's basically them joining the military in it. Then you got your battle arcs, and you got your big final battle arc, and realistically, you got your final big battle arc, but then you've also got your final conflict resolving arc, which is interesting because, as I say, that last arc definitely gave me some Attack on Titan vibes, i.e., Eren getting sort of interrogated by the guards for basically being a Titan. So there's a lot of that vibes within the last part of this, and there's definitely. I like with this the idea of it's the character trying to keep that side of him secret because, like for example, Jujutsu Kaisen, Attack on Titan, it's very quickly shown that people know that they have whatever they're fighting inside them. Obviously, Eren, as soon as he turns back to human, they know straight away, oh yeah, shit, he's the Titan. Jujutsu Kaisen first battle instantly. Whereas this, only one, well, slowly but surely people find out as the show goes along, but most of it is kept secret from the higher ups because they know for a fact that he'll be dead. As soon as he is revealed to be this Kaiju, he's a dead man. It's it, game over for him. There's no coming back from this. And I do like the whole, him trying to keep it a mystery, well, secret from everyone. And then they say he's got two companions that help him along the way. Two like badasses. That's why I like this as well. Like, this guy is the guy who's the Kaiju is just nothing. He's a nobody. He can't really fight. There's something in the show where they have suits that can enhance their combat powers, and it gives you a percentage of how much power they have. And he's literally at, like he literally has a record for not even getting anything. I think he has like, I think that's where he starts with like 0, and he gets like to a point when he's at 1, because obviously he can't use his Kaiju powers because then it'd be too obvious. So he's actually holding back, and he's just awful. But he's funny. It's interesting because all of them joining the ranks are very young, but they dub him as old, despite the fact that he's only in his 30s. But I'm guessing for the military stuff, he's kind of like Nathan Fillion in the show The Rookie. He's not someone that usually joins at that age. Usually get him young, and that's it. And they build up to when he's at that age that he's an experienced member. Whereas this is obviously he's going in at a slightly older age than recommendation is the word I'm going to use here, and he's got less of a fighting chance because they're already at the level realistically he should probably be at his age. So I do like a lot of that. It's really good, and so the fighting sequences are so well done. They're incredible. From the first fight scene, you see him as a Kaiju to, I mean, the last battle in this is just so fucking good. And I remember because the last 2 episodes in dub got delayed by about 2 weeks, and I remember them releasing them. Obviously, I thought the release date was a week after what it actually was. So when I finally sat down to watch, I think episode 11, because I think it was 12 episodes, and I finally I'll go scrap that. When I finally sat down to watch episode 11, I sat there and was like, this is so good, and it ended like on a really good cliffhanger. I was mentioning Connor, I was like, Jesus Christ, this episode is so good. He was like, I haven't watched it yet. And I was like, I can't wait for next week. But at the same time, I'm sad because that means I'm going to have to wait till probably next year for the next series. And I was like, oh, damn it. And I just remember looking at something. So obviously on Crunchyroll, it tells you sub and it tells you dub. And I was like, oh, there's some dubs on there. So have they released the English dub, or is that just like some other dubs? Because obviously I know Demon Slayer had some of their foreign dubs released, but not English. And I remember just Googling, it's like, obviously I saw the original tweet, and I was like, wait, I'm wrong. The episode that I just watched, which I thought was released this week, was actually released last week. And the episode that I thought was releasing next week is actually out now. I was like, oh shit. So I was mentioning, I was like, I just realised that the last episode's out now. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, I'm going to quickly watch it now. And I watched it, I was just blown away. The first half of the last episode is so action-packed, so well animated. And the cool-down process at the end where it's sort of wrapping up, obviously the whole episode, and kind of wrapping up the first season before setting up the second season, it's just so well done. And so a lot of the episodes for me are like 10 out of 10s. Obviously a couple of them are obviously in the 9 region, but that's because they slow down a bit. The high octane stuff is where it's like at its peak. And I say it's definitely Attack on Titan vibes for me, and I feel like over time it's just going to get better. I know from seeing the manga, I know some people complain that in the later parts of the manga there's a lot more generic anime one-on-one battles, essentially, like so someone against their obviously someone who's basically like them, and I'm just like, I'm okay with that, I'm fine with that. People are very clearly at a point now where Chainsaw Man's come out, it's changed the game for anime, and people think that every anime coming out now needs to be a Chainsaw Man, and I don't think it does. Sometimes going back to basic is fine, as long as you do it right. So I say I'm hoping they've done it right when they go back to basic towards the end. So I'll have to wait and see when I get to either the point in the manga, or if I completely don't ever get to the point in the manga and just end up watching the series whenever they release it. But still, it's such a good series. It's for me, it's better than Go Go Loser Rangers. It's better than a lot of animes I've watched lately. Recently, sorry, but some of the new ones I've got into. It's just, it's really fucking good. If you have not watched it, you need to check it out. It's so fucking amazing. So I like the kaiju designs. They're very strange at times. Like there's like a weird guy. It's got like, kind of like a mushroom head, which is a bit weird. And there's just a lot of really cool action sequences. Like if you can get through the talking stuff, when you get to the action stuff, it's just really well done. But I think even the talking stuff is decent storytelling. There's a lot of humor in it. There's a lot of heart in it, and there's a lot of obviously just decent storytelling to get you then to the point of here's your action, and then obviously you got your resolution afterwards, and I think that's decent. I think there's a lot of core side characters that I'm hoping as the story expands in later seasons, you get kind of more of them, because there's a lot of mystery to some of them. Obviously, you start to get little pieces revealed to them, but not a lot. So I'm hoping as the story progresses even further after series 1, you get a bit more about them, maybe like one-on-one episodes focus on them, because I'd like to know a lot more about these people, because so far all we know about is the main guy. We know a little bit about obviously his female friend, and same with his obviously the male friend, the two that know about him being a kaiju. You know bits about them, but not fully. All we know fully about is him, and the fact that the only reason he wants to join obviously the military in this is because obviously the head, well, not the head of it, but the best ranked soldier is someone he grew up with, and he always said to her that they'll both get into this gig and fight side by side. So the whole show is basically him trying to get to that point, but he's now going to do it with a kaiju inside him. So there's a lot to like about Kaiju number 8. The music as well, outstanding. It's a show that's definitely gonna get nominated to this year's Golden Cave Awards, which I've got so far. I've got like a massive like list of like, early nominees to make. So it makes it easier, because when I got to the point of doing it last year, I had to try and pick stuff. Whereas now I've got the list, I can just pick from the list. Like me and Connor can just nail down a better 6 contenders out of that, rather than me just picking 6 and going, yeah, I'll do it, and then realise afterwards, shit, I forgot about that. So obviously this 100% that's already on the list for probably best animated, best TV show, and best like action scene. It's and maybe even score. It's definitely already on the list for a lot of categories at this year's award. It's just, I genuinely cannot wait for season 2. It's just so fucking good. I could just sit here talking all day. I feel like the way I can talk a lot more about this, I'll try my hardest at some point to get Connor to sit down with me, because he also is so invested in this show. I think what helped me, and I feel like what helped him as well, because obviously I know he watches a lot of stuff with D, who prefers dub to sub like I do. And I feel what helped with this is the fact that they did a simulcast launch, so you had sub and dub at the exact same time, and I feel like that really helped, because I mean, look at Demon Slayer, for example. That's finished now, it's sub, and it's a good about 6 episodes behind on dub, whereas this, the only time it went behind was that delay at the end, which, yeah, it was annoying, because it was getting to the point of, this is where it's about to end, but I can look past it, because we pretty much had every episode at the exact same time, and I feel like that's what helped me watching. Obviously, that helped Connor watch it, because he was able to then watch it with D, and one thing I will also point out, intro and outro, so good for this. Intro, animation-wise, is so fucking good. I love the music as well. The theme song is really good by Youngbloods. And then the outro, obviously, it's just a basic animation, but it's still a nice little mellow way to end an episode. And obviously the music, Nobody by One Republic, I believe it is quite an interesting choice. I mean, I heard it the other day. I sat in McDonald's, that played on the radio, and I just looked up and was like, God damn it, Kaiju number 8. But yeah, there is a lot to love about this. I won't give it a 10 out of 10. I'll give it a 9.5. It's very close to a 10, but I have rounded it down to 9.5. Maybe, again, just like with Gogolo's Rangers, maybe on rewatch, because I definitely am going to sit through it again. I will go higher. If I ever do, I will update my score, because it will deserve it if I decide that. But at the moment, I feel like 9.5 is a good base to work off for this show. So yeah, obviously, if you've seen Gogolo's Rangers or Kaiju number 8, or both, put your thoughts in the comments below, and just tell me what you think about them, what you really enjoyed, what you didn't like. what you're looking forward to in follow-up seasons. If you read the manga for either of them, your thoughts on that, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Again, I do apologize for the delays, but some stuff you just can't control. But next week I'll be doing just like this. I'll be doing 2 reviews at once. I will be covering 2 movies I've recently watched. One is just a film. I'm just gonna say shit, but I'll explain it when I'm reviewing it. And one that's pretty, it's okay. It's nothing incredible, but it's much better than the other one. And those are 2 shark movies that have been released within the last few months. So I finally sat down to watch them. I'm going to talk about them. So tune in next week for that. Obviously, you can check out other episodes of the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Audible, etc., etc. Amazon Music's another one. And yeah, obviously you can check out the video on YouTube. You can also check out all my other videos on YouTube. So there's a lot of gaming videos, a lot of other reviews that aren't podcast related. So the Gravity Falls stuff with Alex, that's almost coming to an end. So you got 2 seasons worth of that to check through. And so I'm going to be moving into gaming with him very shortly. I'm pretty certain in the next week or 2 I'll be moving on to the next Assassin's Creed game. So that is Liberations. You can check that out when it comes out. And yeah, that pretty much covers everything. I hope you enjoyed my discussion about Gogolus Rangers and Kaiju number 8. And I do hope to see you next time for my discussion on these 2 very mixed bag of shark movies. So until next time, goodbye.
If you like what you've seen, don't be afraid to throw us a little like and subscribe. That's always very appreciated over here. And well, I'll see you on the next video.